is a growing concern that reflects deeper socio-economic challenges facing young women across Africa. Now, a recent study from Burkina Faso, Kenya, and Malawi found that many pregnant and parenting adolescents engage in transactional relationships to meet the basic of needs such as food, financial support, housing, and child care as well. Now, joining me on the line to examine the factors that place adolescent mothers at greater risk, the similarities and differences across the three countries that were polled. Joining me on the line is Beryl Nyatuga Machoka, who's a researcher at the African Population and Health Research Center. Beryl, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time. Welcome.
Thank you so much, and thanks for having me today in this session.
This is a very concerning, albeit uncomfortable conversation to have, but one that certainly needs to be had. What are the key socio-economic and structural factors driving transactional sex among adolescent mothers in Burkina Faso, Kenya, and Malawi, particularly?
Thank you so much. I think I'm really glad to be able to speak about this because for very long, the global research focus has been mainly on preventing adolescent pregnancy, while we tend to forget about the girls who are already parenting or are really at the extreme level of vulnerability. This is the girls who are already pregnant and parenting, who have mainly remained uh, largely invisible in policy and research. And if we are to look at the numbers, we find a very striking reality whereby we have a very high rate of transactional pregnancy in Kenya, where we found that 44.3% of pregnant and parenting adolescent girls were engaging in transactional sex. And when I say transactional sex, it's mostly the exchange of money for food, basic commodities, and mainly favors companionship among these adolescent girls. And the most common reason for engaging in this was the need for money. That was something that was very consistent across all the three countries. It was reported by about 31% of participants in Kenya, 20% in Burkina Faso, and 8% in Malawi. But one of the most striking realities is that these girls also reported exchanging sex for food, rent, shelter, school fees. And in Kenya, it was very striking because we had a very high number. That's 13% of girls exchanging sex for sanitary pads. But beneath this, underneath all this need for exchange for all these things, we have several factors that actually are interconnected. And we actually used a model called the socio-economic model to try to look at the factors. It's a very good research model that shows, explains very well sexual behavior among young adolescents or youth. So, on to your question on the factors that led to transactional sex among these countries, I've talked about what they were looking for, but now we have these risk factors. And we start at the individual level whereby we found that single adolescents were more likely to engage in transactional sex across the three countries, and the number was still very high in Kenya. If you look in Kenya, we had 28% of single adolescents engaging in transactional sex.
By single, you mean those who don't have parents or caregivers?
Those who don't have a partner. Our population actually focused on adolescents aged 12 years to 19 years, and the majority were 18 to 19 years old. So when I say single adolescents, these are girls who are not having any partner.
Or they're not in a relationship, or they're not ready to be in one to start with, right?
Yes.
Because of their age. Oh,
Yes.
it's disheartening, to say the least. Now, in what ways do community, family support, community networks rather, and social protection systems contribute to this transactional sex problem?
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, one of the results that we found in this study is that most girls exchange sex, so for safety. And we asked them a question about how safe they felt in their community. Like, how safe are you walking around? Do you feel like someone might do something to you? Someone might rape you or do something very bad to you? And after asking this question, we found that girls who perceived their neighborhoods as very safe were less likely to engage in transactional sex. So this tells us very clearly that at the community level, having these safety net systems in place actually can make a difference. This was very common. This was something that we found out in Kenya and Burkina Faso, but it wasn't the same in Malawi. So this clearly shows us how the community can be factored into this.
So how does it differ? I mean, how does it differ? For instance, you say the study in Kenya would suggest different reasons behind the despicable act. How does it differ from another country? I mean, what does research further tell you?
Okay, so let's say when you look at Kenya, you actually see the same factors in terms of single parenting, but across the country, singlehood is a major factor. But now, if you go to let's say a place like Malawi and Burkina Faso, you see that if you go to Burkina Faso, for example, you see we have cases of substance abuse. This is a factor that is just that leads to transactional sex in Burkina Faso, but not in Kenya. So if you look at our research very keenly, you find that the factors differ. Apart from the singlehood thing, other factors differ. One factor can be a cause of transactional sex in one country, but in another country, it's actually something different. But again, we find that these factors are also shared across countries. For example, if you look at the lack of parental support, you can see it's also common. It's cross-cutting across the countries. This also actually tells us that even when we're looking at these issues that affect our young girls, we need to actually look at them from a localized context. Yes.
All right, interesting. We'll continue with our conversation in a moment. Please stay with us, Beryl. All right, 20 minutes after 10 CAT. Let me just remind you once again, you can win big with the SABC Plus app. This FIFA World Cup season, you could win one of 4 PlayStation 5 consoles. It's simple. Download, register, play, and win. The SABC Plus app is available on both Android and iOS devices, so download it today and head on to the FIFA World Cup competition section, answer all the questions, and submit your entry. It's that easy. Don't miss out. Download the SABC Plus app now and start playing to win. T's and C's apply.
Darubini ya Afrika na I am Henry Shakif.
Pengine ujio wa rais wa Namibia Nandi Naitwa tayari mkwisha wasili.
Bila shaka umedokeza hapo mwanzo kwamba tuna ziara hii ya kikazi kutoka serikali ya Namibia ambapo mgeni atapokelewa na Rais Samia na wajumbe mbalimbali. Sasa labda kabla ya kuendelea kuangalia ziara hii, mahusiano yake, lakini faida zake kwa sasa, labda turudi nyuma kwa haraka tuangalie mahusiano ya Tanzania na Namibia yalivyokuwa na mpaka sasa. Mahusiano haya hayakuanza wala leo.
Unadhani sasa nini kifanyike katika kuimarisha diplomasia baina ya mataifa haya mawili kwa ufupi?
Kwa ufupi kabisa, hatua ambayo pia Rais Netumbo ambaye amechukua kufanya ziara hii ya kikazi ya Tanzania analeta ujumbe mmoja kwamba yuko katika hatua za mwanzo za utawala wake tunafahamu, na hivyo anajenga mahusiano ya kimkakati na ushirika wake karibu na Namibia. Lakini hii kwa haraka Afrika inaelekea katika kipindi cha kuimarisha biashara za ndani.
Darubini ya Afrika kila Jumatatu hadi Ijumaa kuanzia saa 11 kamili hadi saa 12 kamili jioni majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
The African Child on the channel.
All right, welcome back to the Journal with me, Ernest Pillay, and let's continue our conversation, focusing this morning on transactional sex, which is unfortunately a growing concern in some parts of the African continent, in particular Burkina Faso, Kenya, and Malawi, where a study was conducted there. On the line with me in this conversation, Beryl Nyatuga Machoka, who is a researcher at the African Population and Health Research Center. Now, Beryl, how does the study itself that was conducted across these three countries challenge common assumptions and stereotypes about transactional sex among adolescent mothers?
I think when we look at this, we kind of have to look at how this transactional sex has an impact on the life of these adolescent girls. For example, if you look at a 13-year-old, you expect them to be dealing with school, thinking about maybe their future, how they'll get into university or high school. But one thing is that we tend to believe that transactional sex is a choice. But I want to emphasize that to these young girls, it's not a choice. It's just a strategy that they use to cope with severe hardship. It might be, yes. It's a very common stereotype. If you look at comments that people have about transactional sex among young people, most of them will tell you this is disguised promiscuity, but no, actually it's not. The findings clearly show us that. So this is one thing that we need to think about differently if we are to actually help these young girls.
Yes, indeed. I mean, that lends us to policymakers, right? What policy or programs and community-led level interventions are needed, in your view, and of course informed by research as well, to address the root causes identified in the study and also to improve outcomes for adolescent mothers and their children?
Actually, when we look at the research and if you want to inform policy, you need to look at what the problem is. If we look very clearly, we can see singlehood is an issue. And there's what we call the marital advantage in reducing poverty, where we have your partner sharing resources with helping you in terms of giving you resources. So we have cash transfer programs that have actually worked in places like South Africa, whereby we see that girls who are given cash transfers are more likely to have better sexual behavior, like having fewer partners, abstaining, and using condoms when they're engaging in sexual activity. So cash transfers is one of the things that we need to actually consider. And then the other thing is the establishment of safe spaces in the community. You can see neighborhood safety is a very big risk factor. And in most cases, this can be used to mitigate the risk of feeling the need to use transactional sex for companionship or to evade things like violence or trauma or being traumatized in the community. So if we establish these safe spaces in the community, this will also be very helpful to these young adolescent mothers. The last intervention that can be actually considered by policymakers is actually bringing up or establishing integrated psychosocial and substance use prevention services. And this will actually help them in terms of their mental health. Actually, adolescent pregnancy is a very stressful event to these young girls. So, and I bring in the issue of substance use prevention services because we have seen, like in Burkina Faso, substance use was a risk factor. So integrating all these things, integrated psychosocial support will also be very helpful for these young adolescent mothers.
Indeed. Just as we're about to wrap up, Beryl, what does the study, if anything, tell you about sex for social status? Now we know social media showcases, young women and girls as well, showcasing particular lifestyles that come with money. You need money to purchase all of the things that are being flaunted on social media platforms: clothes, smartphones, luxury items, and so forth, and the perceived middle-class lifestyle. Does it say anything at all about that?
I don't think the study says anything about this at all. From my perspective, I think we need to move from the issue from judgment to support, because these are young children. And the fact that they are already engaging in transactional sex for all this, to get all these things, means that we as a society, we as parents have actually failed them. So I cannot expect a 15-year-old mother to choose between her dignity and maybe getting her next meal, getting her the next money that she can use to, let's say, purchase something like a cloth. This is something that we really need to look at past what let's say, what social media tells us, or what the society tries to tell us about them.
Yeah, in other words, we need to look, the mirror, as it were, and fix communities, fix our homes first and the upbringing before we even look at other external factors. But something to keep borne in mind nonetheless, right?
Yes. And one thing that I can actually say is that if we don't address these structural vulnerabilities, the societal issues, we're leaving these girls with no choice but to trade sex for survival.
So just very lastly, I mean, anyone wants to reach out, perhaps support your programs, or just link up with you regarding this rather concerning issue that is prevalent, unfortunately, across our communities. How do they do that? Can they reach out to you?
Actually, they can reach out to me, or we have a website, that's the African Population and Health Research Center, and we have the institutional contacts over there. And if they want to speak to anyone, or any of us, including me and anyone from the research team, they can get the contact information over there.
All right. We'll also put up the information on our social pages as well. Beryl, I thank you so much for your time. It's a hard subject, and great work that you do over there. We hope the message goes far and wide as well, and let's curb the scourge rather sooner than later. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, that's Beryl Nyatuga Machoka, a researcher at the African Population and Health Research Center. The time now, 10:30 Central African Time. It's time for Channel Africa Sport with Figile Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you.